A day in my life. Learn English from morning to night with me. Hello and welcome back to English Online, the place where you learn real English through real life. In today's episode, we'll spend a full day together, from the moment I wake up in the morning until I go to sleep at night. You'll hear natural, everyday English that people actually use in real life. Whether you're just beginning or already on your journey to fluency, this episode is for you. So, get ready to walk through an ordinary but meaningful day. And let's learn English together, 1 hour at a time. I woke up at 6:30 this morning when my alarm rang loudly beside my bed. The room was still dark, and I really wanted to stay under the blanket. But I knew I had a long day ahead, so I stretched, sat up slowly, and smiled. First, I turned off the alarm and checked my phone for messages. There were a couple of texts from my friend and a reminder about a meeting later today. I placed the phone down and walked to the bathroom, yawning on the way. I washed my face with cold water to wake myself up completely. Then I brushed my teeth while looking in the mirror, thinking about what I should wear. After brushing, I used my favorite face cream. It smells like fresh flowers. Then I tied my hair back into a ponytail to get it out of the way. I went back to my room and opened the curtains. Soft morning light filled the room, and I could hear birds chirping outside. It made me feel calm and a little excited for the day. I changed into my workout clothes, a gray t-shirt and black leggings. I always try to move my body a little in the morning. I did a 10-minute stretch by following a YouTube video on my laptop. It felt so good to breathe deeply and stretch my arms and legs. Then I took out my yoga mat and did 5 minutes of simple yoga poses. I'm not a pro, but I enjoy it, and it helps me feel more balanced. After that, I drank a glass of warm lemon water from the kitchen. Now it was time to make breakfast. I made some scrambled eggs and toast. I also made a cup of green tea instead of coffee today. I sat at the table and ate slowly, looking out the window. Outside, the street was starting to wake up. Cars were passing. People were walking their dogs. After breakfast, I cleaned up the dishes quickly. Then I went back to my room to get dressed for the day. I chose a light blue blouse and a pair of jeans, simple and comfortable. I added some earrings and put on a little makeup. Just enough to feel fresh. Not too much. At around 8 a.m., I packed my bag. I made sure I had my wallet, keys, water bottle, phone, and a small notebook. I never leave the house without my notebook. It's where I write ideas or thoughts. Then I grab my headphones, because I love listening to podcasts on the way. I sprayed a bit of perfume, took one last look in the mirror, and smiled. It was time to leave. I put on my white sneakers and my light jacket. The weather looked good. Partly sunny with a cool breeze. I locked the door behind me and walked down the stairs. Outside, the air felt fresh and the city was slowly getting busy. I said good morning to my neighbor who was watering his plants. Then I started walking toward the bus stop. On the way, I passed a bakery and the smell of fresh bread made me hungry again. I smiled at the bakery lady who always waves at me. At the bus stop, a few people were already waiting. Some were checking their phones, others just standing quietly. When the bus arrived, I got on and found a seat near the window. I put on my headphones and started listening to an English podcast. I love learning while I travel. As the bus moved through the streets, I felt ready for the day ahead. As the bus made its final stop near my workplace, I stood up, gently moved through the passengers, thanked the driver, and stepped out into the heart of the busy city. The sidewalks were alive with movement. People rushing to work, street vendors calling out their morning offers, and bicycles weaving through the traffic like silent whispers in the wind. I walked briskly through familiar blocks, passing the small bookstore with its cozy wooden sign and the smell of roasted coffee coming from the cafe next door, until I finally reached the glass doors of the office building where I work. I greeted the receptionist with a friendly, "Good morning," scanned my ID badge at the security gate, and took the elevator to the 5th floor, where my team works in a bright, open-plan space filled with natural light and soft music playing in the background. The moment I stepped inside, I felt that mix of energy and calm that I love so much about the morning hours at work. I placed my bag under the desk, took a deep breath, and opened my laptop to check my calendar for the day. There were 2 meetings scheduled, one at 9:30 with the marketing team and another at 11 for a project briefing. I quickly reviewed my notes, adjusted my to-do list, and opened a few tabs to start gathering resources I'd need for both meetings. As I worked, I sipped water from my bottle and occasionally glanced at the chat messages popping up from colleagues asking quick questions or sharing morning jokes in the team group chat. At around 9:20, I gathered my notepad and headed toward the meeting room, where the glass walls reflected the sunlight and the chairs were already half filled with my teammates. We started the meeting on time, reviewing our campaign results, analyzing user data, and discussing ideas for the next digital content strategy. Everyone had something to contribute, and I shared an idea about a new visual series that could make our messages more engaging. My manager nodded in approval and asked me to lead a small task force to develop it further. The meeting ended just before 10:30, and I felt satisfied knowing that my contribution was valued and that we were moving in a creative direction. Returning to my desk, I spent a few minutes replying to emails and organizing files on the shared drive before joining the second meeting of the day, this time over Zoom. The call included colleagues from other departments, and we discussed project timelines, divided responsibilities, and addressed a few concerns about deadlines. I made detailed notes, asked a clarifying question about the design requirements, and promised to follow up with a draft by Friday. Once the meeting ended, I stretched my arms, took a short break to look out the window, and watched as the city continued to buzz with life. Cars honking, leaves rustling in the breeze, and construction sounds echoing in the distance. Now it was lunchtime, and I was starting to feel a gentle hunger growing inside me. I decided to head down to the company cafeteria, which was already filling up with coworkers chatting, laughing, and enjoying the break from their desks. I grabbed a tray and picked up a balanced meal: grilled chicken, steamed vegetables, a small bowl of rice, and a cup of yogurt. I chose a quiet corner table near the window and sat with 2 coworkers from the design team. We talked about weekend plans, a new movie that had just been released, and shared some funny stories about work-from-home meetings gone wrong. The mood was light, and it felt good to take a pause from tasks and just connect with people over something simple and human like lunch. After finishing my meal, I cleared my tray, washed my hands, and stopped by the vending machine to grab a mint chocolate bar for later. On the way back upstairs, I ran into my friend Hannah, who works in HR. We walked together and talked about how fast the week was moving, how we both felt a bit tired, and how we were dreaming of the upcoming long weekend. As we reached the 5th floor, we smiled, wished each other a good afternoon, and returned to our desks to continue the day. I sat down, adjusted my chair, and opened my calendar again to plan the afternoon tasks. Although I had already done a lot, I knew the day was far from over, and there was still more to accomplish. Back at my desk after lunch, I took a few minutes to recenter myself for the second half of the day. I checked my task list again, sorted the items by urgency, and opened the first design document I needed to review. I usually find that the early afternoon hours, especially between 1:30 and 3:30, are my most productive time. The office grows a bit quieter during this period, as people focus deeply on their work. I put on my noise-canceling headphones, played a low-volume instrumental playlist, and immersed myself in reviewing layouts, writing feedback, and editing text. I lost track of time as I worked through the details, carefully adjusting wording, layout spacing, and even color contrast on slides to make sure our message would shine. At 3:15, I took a short break, got up to refill my water bottle, and did a quick stretch near the windows, looking down at the people walking far below. That little pause helped me reset. Back at my desk, I joined a short check-in call with the mini task force I was now leading. Just 4 of us working on the new visual series. We shared our updates, talked about a few design concepts, and assigned tasks to be done before the end of the week. I noted all action points and followed up by sending a short summary to the group with deadlines. That sense of progress, of checking off tasks, made me feel accomplished. The last hour of the workday was a mix of replying to emails, updating project trackers, and tidying my digital workspace. I saved all documents, synced files with the team folder, and then wrote a few thoughts in my personal notes about what went well and what I could improve tomorrow. By 5 p.m., the energy in the office shifted. People started saying goodbyes, grabbing jackets, and heading out. I shut down my laptop, packed my things, and took one last look at the checklist on my screen, satisfied that I had completed everything I had planned. As I walked out, I said goodbye to the receptionist and stepped into the early evening light. The air was cooler now, the city glowing with soft golden hues as the sun began to lower in the sky. I decided to walk to the subway instead of taking the bus, just to enjoy the calm of the evening. On the way, I stopped by a bakery to grab a small bag of fresh bread for home. The scent of baked goods was warm and comforting. I passed a group of students laughing outside a coffee shop, a man playing saxophone near the corner, and a woman walking her dog with a bright red leash. These little city moments always make me feel like I'm living inside a movie. Once I got to the subway, I found a seat near the window and leaned back, scrolling through social media, liking photos, and reading updates from friends. By the time I reached my neighborhood, it was close to 6:30 p.m. I walked the familiar path home, humming to myself. At home, I took off my shoes, put my bag on the hook, and changed into something comfortable. My favorite oversized hoodie and soft sweatpants. I turned on a few lights, lit a vanilla-scented candle, and opened the windows to let the cool air flow through. Then I moved into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Tonight, I cooked a simple meal, rice with stir-fried vegetables and tofu, with a bit of soy sauce and sesame seeds. I set the table for one, poured a glass of water, and sat down, enjoying every bite slowly while watching a calm vlog on YouTube about a girl living in a quiet village in Japan. After dinner, I cleaned up the dishes, wiped down the counters, and took a warm shower. That quiet moment under the water was like a soft reset for my mind and body. I slipped into my bed socks, brushed my hair, and settled on the couch with a blanket and a book I had been reading for weeks. A romantic novel with slow-burning tension and beautiful descriptions. I read for about half an hour, then spent a little time writing in my journal. What I did, how I felt, and what I looked forward to tomorrow. That reflection always helps me sleep better. Around 9:30, I turned off the main lights, kept only the reading lamp on, and did a short guided meditation using an app. It helped calm my thoughts, relax my breathing, and bring the day to a peaceful close. By 10 o'clock, I was in bed, my phone on night mode, my alarm set for the next day, and the city outside humming quietly like a lullaby. My eyes closed slowly, my body relaxed, and I fell asleep feeling thankful for a full, balanced, and beautiful day, ready to wake up tomorrow and do it all again. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the fan beside my bed. I lay there with my eyes open for a few minutes, letting the silence wrap around me. It's in these last moments of the day that I often think most deeply, not just about what I did, but about who I'm becoming. Lying on my back, I watched the play of shadows on the ceiling from the streetlights outside. They moved like ghosts from another world, slowly gliding as cars passed. I remembered a conversation I had that morning, the way my coworker smiled when we solved a problem together. That little memory stayed with me, like a warm ember glowing quietly in my chest. I picked up my phone one last time, not to scroll, but to open my notes app. I wrote a few thoughts. Proud of how I handled today. Didn't rush, stayed kind to myself. More of this. Then I put the phone away, reached for my sleep mask, and whispered a small thank you to the universe. Gratitude has become my favorite nighttime ritual. It softens the hard edges of the day and helps me drift into rest with a full heart. Before my thoughts faded completely, I pictured my goals, where I want to be, what I hope to learn, and how I wish to grow. Those dreams feel more real when I name them before bed. The next morning would come quickly, with a fresh list of tasks, challenges, and tiny joys. But for now, there was nothing to fix, nothing to achieve, just rest. I took a deep breath, turned on my side, and felt the heaviness in my eyelids begin to win. The city noise was distant now, like background music to a dream. As I finally slipped into sleep, I carried with me not just the events of the day, but the quiet understanding that life is stitched together in moments. Moments of action, reflection, laughter, work, and calm. And this was one of them. Final reflections, a message to you, dear listener. As you listen to my day unfold, from the first alarm in the early morning to this final quiet hour, I hope you found pieces of your own life in mine. Learning English is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It's about understanding daily rhythms, feeling emotions, and expressing the ordinary with new words. Every detail, from brewing coffee to preparing dinner, is an opportunity to absorb real-life English in context. That's the magic of listening to stories like this. Your brain connects language with life, and slowly you grow fluent not just in English, but in thinking in English. If you're learning English, know this. You're already doing something amazing. Every word you heard today, every sentence you understood or paused to repeat, added a layer of knowledge to your language journey. Listening is one of the strongest tools to build fluency. Keep doing it. Every day. Even when it feels slow. Even when you're unsure. The language is soaking in, shaping your thoughts, and becoming part of your voice. And if this podcast helped you, I invite you to come back to it. Repeat parts. Mimic sentences. Use what you learned in your own conversations. That's how fluency is built. Moment by moment. Like a day built from morning to night. Thank you for spending your time with me. Sleep well, dream in English, and I'll be waiting for you in the next story, ready to walk through another beautiful, ordinary day together.